Tape Deck Media.
My friend Dan, he's got a podcast, cause all comics need a podcast, and nobody had a podcast called The Art of Bombing. So Dan went out and bought a tape deck. Who knows why he bought a tape deck? Podcasts don't get played on tape decks, but Dan is from the 80s. So hey there, all you funny jerks, come talk to Dan about your work. Tell him all about your worst times. It's The Art of Bombing. Welcome, friends, to an all-new The Art of Bombing presents Between Bombs Callbacks, where Larry,
That's me.
and myself, Dan,
That's you.
that's me, call back our most recent episode. And in this edition of Callbacks, we are calling back episode 319 with Sydney Kane. And what a delight she was. That was a fun conversation.
Yeah, it really was. Especially, when she was like, "Yeah, I've only been doing this for X amount of, what was it, 2 years, 3 years?"
Not, I
And
mean,
it,
not even. It seemed
yeah,
like it was even shorter. That she said that she really started focusing on, her live show. Like I thought she said like April of this year or
yeah,
something like that. Like, yeah. But again, a lot of experience in the performing arts. It's not like it was just,
yeah,
starting.
yeah.
So,
She's a lot of experience in the performing arts. Really, a lot of experience with making videos, which we could all be a little better at. Um,
absolutely.
I say
And
that mostly me.
great
Dan,
musician.
you kill it. You kill it all the
I
time.
don't kill it as much as I would like to. I should kill it more, but I
But
don't.
no,
I'm
just
lazy. I mean,
very
speaking of that,
insightful.
speaking about that though, speaking about, putting out content and stuff, I did record all my shows from the cruise ship this weekend because that was a fun
Yes,
thing. I got to do my first cruise ship gig this last
Sailor
weekend.
Dan.
That's right, this last weekend, Sailor Dan, and he had a good time. But they were wild shows. The crowds were on this particular cruise were pretty rowdy. The first
Really?
the first day, my first shows were on Thanksgiving night, and they were okay. The crowds were fine. My sets were fine. I wouldn't say like I crushed, but I felt good about my sets. Um, I did feel good about my sets, but um, the rest of the weekend, it was like so. Then the Friday shows, the crowd just heckled, and then our Saturday shows, most of the crowd that came to our R-rated show had seen all our other shows, and so how it works, you have to do three different 30-minute sets. You have three shows, and you give them show titles or whatever, and then you you perform five times over the course of the cruise, and two of those shows get repeated. So the Saturday show was our repeat day, and pretty much all the same people that came to all the shows before were at that show. So it was like they knew it was coming because, and you can't deviate from the set. Like you can't, you know, because all the material has to be different. Like you can't,
Wow.
you know what I mean? Like you can't, yeah. So it was just weird.
So did you have to do like, because I've had other friends do cruise ships, and like a clean show, a PG-13, and a dirty, or was it
So basically, they say it's a PG show and two R-rated shows. Basically, it's a general show and an R-rated show. Yeah, but
okay?
yeah, so PG, two R-rated shows,
Okay,
essentially,
that's
or adult. It
not
doesn't have to be R-rated, but adult.
sure,
Yeah,
but adult
but
oriented,
but
evening
even
time.
the PG show, um, it's not like you're doing a kids show. The reason they do it PG because it's a family friendly show in the sense where it's usually parents that want to come see comedy, but they have their kids with them so that they can bring their kids. Well, yeah, I mean
Right.
they can't because they can't just leave them in their cabin. I mean they probably could, but
Just chain him to one of the pools or the slide or
yeah,
something.
just let them just put
There
them in
should
the turn them loose in the pool.
like a bike rack for kids just outside the comedy club.
Yeah, exactly.
Little tiny stockades.
But it was a it was a great learning experience. I learned a lot um from this weekend.
Yeah.
I was very fortunate The other comic that was on the cruise, his name's Mark Ryan. He's based in Nashville. He's been doing comedy like 35 years, and he did cruise ships like a long time ago, and then kind of got out of it, started going back to doing like clubs and stuff like that. But he got back into doing cruises about a year ago, and I was very fortunate that I got to work with him because he, sometimes you work with comics. I've been told on these cruise ships where they don't want to hang out or they're just like there, or whatever,
Right.
and they don't want to like answer questions or whatever. They just, they're not that they're being mean or being dicks. They just want to be, in their own world or whatever. But I was fortunate. Mark was not like that. He helped me in a lot of ways where, kind of giving me the heads up on everything because it was my first time on a cruise, first time performing on a cruise, and there's a lot of little logistical things that you have to do, on your onboarding and things like that, and where things are because you're back behind the scenes and the crew areas a lot and things like that. So I was very fortunate that he was willing to take me under his wing. He just let me ask a bunch of questions about performing and the kind of shows and things like that. Like it was great. We pretty much just talked comedy all weekend. So shout
That's
out
very
to
cool.
Mark Ryan.
And you didn't take your podcasting equipment or
No, and
anything?
then
No.
that's one of the tips that I got for doing cruise ships is and even in the welcome thing they tell you don't try not to do checked bags because there's so you got to do carry on, so you're limited on space.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah,
I'm
so
not.
no.
I forgive you. I forgive you.
Okay, good, good, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad. I guess I could have used my camera and did a another recording like I did with Elliot.
Yeah. Let's never do that again.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it was a good experience. I
Good.
pretty stoked. So
That's
I'm
awesome.
officially a Carnival crew member now as a guest performer. So
That's awesome, buddy.
yeah. So
I
hopefully it'll lead to more work in the
yeah,
future.
I hope
So
so. I hope so.
me too.
Congratulations.
Me too. Thank you.
Yeah, back to to Sydney Kane.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Well, sorry. I went on that tangent to say that yes, I got a lot of video that I could probably make clips for my social
awesome.
media. That's
I
where
knew
I
you
was
were
going
headed
with.
somewhere.
That's where I was
I mean,
going with
besides
that.
just we needed to know. We needed to know what was going on with that, but
Yeah, but yes,
yeah.
that was that's where I was going with that is that I have a lot of content that I could probably and a lot of heckling, so I'm
Oh
probably gonna
yeah.
go through and see how some of the crowd work goes. And not that I was trying to do crowd work, but they weren't letting me. It was funny. We'll say this. One of the shows, the guy that kept interrupting and like going back and forth or whatever, it I finally got him with my cute little bear joke. Like it just like he laughed so hard he started like he lost his breath, like he was almost choking. Like it was amazing that.
That's awesome.
So, but yeah, back to Sydney Kane. Back to what this episode is all about.
Hey, this episode's all about you, baby.
All about me, baby, and my conversation with Sydney,
Sydney Kane.
which going back to that, like you said, she kind of got her start and built a following doing kind of sketch comedy and stuff
Yeah.
online, doing like reels and TikTok videos, which um it is kind of I mean, it's very similar to like the YouTube thing, how YouTubers or whatever, but would you classify them the same? Like when people blow up on social media versus people that blow up on TikTok or YouTube?
I mean, it's all kind of the
Or do
same.
we
It's all the same family, you
kind of, I
know.
mean, because it's video related,
Yeah, it's video
content
related.
content creation related.
And it's not a live audience. There's editing involved. I mean, I think TikTok and Facebook and Instagram Reels and YouTube are kind of all
I feel like
if
they're very
if
very similar.
yeah. I mean, YouTube
I
you can do a
suppose
longer
they call
video.
them they're more called like content creators or. YouTubers for YouTube, and then on like Instagram, a lot of people call themselves influencers versus content creators. I don't know. I know, right?
Not to poo poo anybody, but
Yeah, not to yuck anybody's yum, but
but
uh
if your
yeah.
yum is influencing anyway.
Yeah, if your yum is
Um,
being an influencer. Yeah.
I this was a a great episode. You learned a new word. Um,
I did.
that was
Learned a lot.
yeah. Go back and listen if you haven't.
Yep,
And
yep. If you haven't, go back and listen because it was yeah, good conversation. We got and uh before we're gonna go into a break here eventually here soon. We got to go into a break, but I do want to get into this a little bit before we go to the break. And one thing that's cool about this conversation is that she's working on developing a show that she was getting ready to perform. So we kind of went through the process of okay, you have this show that you wrote, you're working it out because if anybody that knows live performance, you can edit the writing and stuff, but until you actually put it in front of an audience, you really don't know how it's going to work and how it's going to get that crowd response and crowd reaction. So you have to perform it and then, make those changes. Which what is your process for making changes to your act?
I never do. Never ever.
You've been doing the same act since you
If
started
you don't
comedy.
laugh, that's your fault. No, usually I'll try a joke 3 different times. Um, or depending if it's like if it's a two very different audiences, like if it's like you know what I mean when I say very different audiences, I might give it a couple more shots, but
Hmm.
usually 3 times, and you kind
Kind
of
of do the
know,
rule of three. Yeah.
yeah, you kind of know
Now,
because
do you, when you get to that rule of three, if it's still not working, do you throw it away completely or do you shelve it? Because that's the thing I typically shelve it and then come back because sometimes you're at a level where you just don't have the experience or,
I've
the
said that about
creativity.
I have tried a joke before and said I'm not a good enough writer yet to write this joke. I'll come
Yep.
back to it.
Yep.
Because then your instincts there. You know there's something there, but it's just not jiving with the audience. You're not saying it right. You know there's a tweak, and you just can't find it. So
Yep.
sometimes I'll just set it aside until something will hit me. Sometimes though, you like you know that something is good and it feels right, but on
Yep.
that third time you're still like, I'm just not getting it. Or it's the third time you're like, nobody likes this but me. I obviously
That one was
nobody.
for me.
And sometimes you write these jokes, you're like, oh, this is hilarious, and it's like, nope, only I think it's funny, and you have to be willing to step away from it and go, that's not even shelvable. That's not
Yeah, you just
rewritable.
leave it all. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
convinced it would work. I tried it 3 different ways. It does not work.
Yeah. Now I actually wrote like a show with a through line, because I wrote and performed a one person show. Shameless plug,
Yeah.
available on YouTube called It Was Supposed to Be a Love Story. Uh, um, but in
It
that
was on
show,
Amazon Prime.
it was on Amazon Prime. Yes, it was on Amazon Prime. Now it lives on YouTube. But it was a show where I blended some of my poetry with some of my stand-up comedy. And it was inspired by a relationship or a breakup from a relationship that was kind of a toxic relationship. So I could really relate to her on that process of like, this is a show. I wrote it like a script. Like I wrote it like a script. It's like I forget how many pages it was, but it was like a 30-page script, something like that. No, maybe it was a little bit longer. I don't remember, maybe 60 pages. But either way, I wrote it as a script and then kind of, didn't really to rehearse, I just performed it. I started taking that show on the road specifically, and marketing it as what it was. And each night you perform it and then you kind of look at it, well, what was working, what wasn't.
Hmm.
There were some poems and some writings that I had in there that just didn't seem to go with the flow. And also it made the show really long, so I cut them out to like shorten the show because I wanted to keep it at around an hour, around that 60
Hmm.
minute mark. So so yeah, so I just worked on it. And I guess for me, when it comes to that, when to make the changes to the act is really, it just really depends on what you're working for. If you have a
Yeah.
specific like show, and I don't mean like your act that you're doing for stand up or whatever, but I'm talking like you're working on a specific show, like for a fringe or something like that. It's just a matter of you got to really watch those videos and come back to it and kind of really listen to your audience. So,
Right.
but
Right.
I think it is time for our first, well, our only break. We are going to take a quick sponsor break. So we'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors. And we are back.
Hey,
Yeah, hey
everybody.
everybody, we are back. Please go support our sponsors. When you support them, you are supporting us, and yeah, it's a good way to. You can get some cool products and still support the show. Another way you can support the show is if you want to get some extra content and you can or ad free and early access to these episodes. Make sure you can either join the support underneath for $3 a month, or you can go over to buymeacoffee.com/AOBpod and become a Bomb Squad Elite for $5 a month. And that's where we're really going to be putting a lot of the bonus content. So check those out. All right, back to this. Do you step on your laughs?
Oh, I used to. I used to be real bad about it. But now I'm all about just if you want to let that wave ride, man, I'll milk it. I will milk it. And if I can make a cute little face that'll keep it going, I'll do it. I will mug. I am. I don't. If I, it's just a whole lot easier. Um,
Sometimes when you do that too, when you draw it out, and even when it's going for a while, and then you you get that good laugh, and they're still laughing, and then you do milk it like that, ham it up, you get even more laughs because you keep them going by just
oh yeah.
physicalities of things.
Yep. And that's I. But I used to be. But I think in the beginning you're so used to getting small laughs or no laughs that you're like, I tell the joke and then I move on, and I tell the joke and I move on, because you get or an appropriate amount of and you're like, all right, good enough. I'll take it. I'll take it. Anything from the audience. Um, so once you start getting those laughs, is that the plural of laugh?
Labs.
Laughs.
Labs.
Oh
Labs.
boy. I Somebody put me outside. But yeah, once you start getting those laughs, it is you start having to get used to. Well, but I will say I had the advantage coming from theater, from live theater, because there's times where an audience would laugh at a scene that they were supposed to laugh at, and sometimes they were laughing at stuff they never should have laughed at, but for
Yep.
whatever reason it catches them funny. And so you just have to be ready to shift however they need, wherever the audience is that day. And
Yep.
so at least I had that to be like, oh, okay, I'm stepping on laughs. I didn't realize it. All right, let's back up and just and that's good engagement with the audience, making sure that you and the audience are just on the
Mm-hmm.
same page working together.
Yeah. And yeah, that's something like I'm the same. I did the same thing when I started. I would because I was always in a rush to get through my material, even when I was doing good. I used to just talk really fast and I just didn't slow down. And Chris Clobber, comedian in San Diego, a veteran comedian, been doing it for a long time. He had pointed that out one time. He was like, "Hey, you talk really fast, and you just need to slow down. And you also are always stepping on your laughs. You're getting when your punchlines are hitting, but you keep going, and he made a good point about how when you do that, then the audience loses track of what's going on because they're still laughing. And if you're telling a setup, then your next
Yeah.
punchline, they don't know what happened. So now they're confused. So,
Well, and then they're less willing to laugh because they're
hmm.
scared that if they laugh, then they're not going to hear the setup to the next joke. And so
Yep.
now they're like, "Oh, no, I'll gotta be careful because I'm going to miss something." Yeah, it's all just part of it's just all part of that being new and learning and
Yep.
trying to figure
Yep.
out how to make just
Yeah. I
how
mean,
to
the
work
one of
things
some of the
in.
best advice I got was slow down. Slow down. Take your
Yep.
time. And even when you don't get a laugh, like if you do a joke and it doesn't hit, uh, it was described to me as to embrace the silence. Just like you would a laugh, give it a
Yep.
pause and sit in that silence for a beat and then move on. Because sometimes also when you do that, like unless it's a really just not a good joke yet, but like if you have a joke that normally hits and then it doesn't, but you sit in that silence, sometimes it's because they just didn't get it.
Yep.
Especially if you do smart jokes, that are, that people really have to think about. You give that beat and then they're like, "Oh, it clicks."
Exactly. Exactly. And
So,
sometimes you do, especially if you're doing like you said, a smart joke, a cerebral joke, even wordplay, just
hmm.
wordplay sometimes. And I'm not talking puns. I'm just talking like being able to weave the words and sometimes people need a second to catch up on context. Because sometimes
Yep.
when you're doing it, the joke sometimes relies on the context of the situation that you set it up for, or the situation you're in the room. And so,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. We kind of already touched on this last thing that we want to talk about, and that is, you got to be willing to kill your darlings. Don't be precious, which we talked about with the, making changes to the act, because you talked about your system of how, you got your rule of three with jokes. But
uh, yeah. Was it Andrew Lloyd Webber that said that? I mean, I'm sure he was maybe quoting somebody else, but I saw an uh, interview with him where he was the one that that I picked up the "kill your darlings" phrase
yeah.
from because he'd write songs or he'd write lyrics and just love them and then see them performed and be like, no, 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 you're doing it wrong. And everyone would come to me and be like, they're not doing it wrong. It's just bad. You might love it,
Sorry,
but
there's a
it's
book.
bad.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah, and that's the same thing. That's been a thing that I've all went way back to my early days of because I've always kind of been a writer or whatever, lean towards the language arts and creative writing, and that's something that they always teach in creative writing and any kind of writing is don't be afraid to kill your babies.
yeah.
You gotta some things
You-
if they suck, they suck.
and that's okay. That's I
Yep.
mean, so
Because sometimes, especially when it comes to writing, at
yeah,
least for me, uh, even if you're writing something and it just isn't good, you write it out, say you finish a script and it's just not good, that's fine. It's practice.
yeah,
That's the thing you gotta, it's not, because some people will think, oh, well, that was a I wasted all this time writing the script and it still sucks, blah, blah, blah. No, it's not a waste of time because you're getting the practice. You're getting sitting down, you're getting into the process of writing, you're going through, you're getting those bombs, if you will, out of the way. So then you keep writing, and then you write the one that hits.
hmm Well, um, oh, I had a point that I was going to make, Dan, and it was really good, and I lost it.
I believe
Um,
you. I believe you.
and it was piggybacking off what you were saying, and it was, oh man, I hate
About
when that
writing.
happens.
Yeah, we are talking about writing.
Um, yep, talk
Uh,
about writing.
getting the
Um,
practice,
eh,
getting the bad ones out of the way.
it doesn't matter. It might hit me.
It
Oh
might,
man,
it'll hit you a little bit later. It'll hit you
this
after.
is why I usually take notes while I'm sitting here. I'm like, oh yeah, jot that down. That's a good. That's a good one. And I was like, no, this will be a good one to jump in with. And I hate when I do
Oh
that.
man, that's a bummer. That's a bummer. What a
Yeah, I haven't
what
even
a
been
pity.
drinking.
What a pity. What a
What a
pity.
pity.
A pity the fool that can't remember.
That's me. Oh, hey, by the way, can you answer this? Can anyone answer this? What's a situationship? Look,
Right? Apparently a situationship is it's what I'm gathering from what I'm hearing from people talk about them is they are basically the what would be between friends with benefits and a relationship. Like
uh,
it's I know. It's basically people who want to be in a committed relationship but don't want to commit. That's what I'm gathering. You're like
okay, hey,
you're not putting a label on it per se, but you're
good,
basically in a relationship. You're doing all the
goody.
relationship things. You're probably being monotonous as well. Or yeah, monotonous because relationships are. I meant monogamous.
That was a little Freudian slip, wasn't that?
And now we know why Dan is single.
And now a word from our sponsor, Hungry Man Dinners for one.
And wash it down with our other sponsor, PBR.
PBR tastes like lonely. Uh,
It tastes like male loneliness.
hey, you know what's funny? I remember now what I was going to bring up.
Oh, please do. Now that you remember, I'm glad that
Okay.
that triggered it.
That little jog around the block. Just need a little get up and get my legs moving. So you were talking about, just the practice of writing and such. Foxworthy he's like coming up to retirement. He said he's like, I want to retire, and had even announced like, this is coming. I might do like one small tour, and I forget who approached him, probably Netflix, um, and said, hey, we want to produce your last comedy special. And he was like, okay, but under one condition. And his condition was the first half of this is watching him go through the writing process, showing up at open mics, showing up and
Oh,
doing spots with his note cards and
yep. So
watching
it's like
him
half
bomb.
documentary on the
Yep.
process.
He's like, I want everyone to realize, he said, I feel like for too long, too many people have thought that stand up is easy. He's like, two, I want young comics to see that even me, a guy my age at the level that I'm supposed to be at, he's like, it doesn't come easy. You have to work, and I'm not above failing, and I'm
I
not
hope
above.
that comes out. I hope that
It
transpires
seems like
into a
the
real
it seems like the ink's on the paper. So he's
because
been because he's starting to
that
talk about it.
is a brilliant idea.
Well, and
Because
there's,
sometimes you'll see like comedy specials that'll have like behind the scenes of like them kind of do getting ready for whatever, but
yeah,
not to that,
that Ray Romano's,
not with that through point.
yeah, Ray Romano's last special was kind of like that, where he did a couple different like smaller spots and then went to the big taping, and you get to see how it's different in the smaller rooms versus the big ones. And
Yep.
it was I will say, it was a very cool insight. But this one, yeah, this one would be really interesting again to watch Foxworthy go up and eat it,
Yeah.
just
Especially
like
somebody at
everybody.
his level. Like you said, like
Yep.
that the whole concept of that. That's
And it's
amazing.
not because I dislike Foxworthy. From all accounts, he's a very
No,
like
I'm same.
nice guy. Oh,
But it's true. Like when
yeah,
comics, like I've seen comedians who are at that level working out. Like I've been to shows where they're working out the material before it becomes a special, and some of the
yeah,
stuff hits and some of it doesn't.
yeah.
And
And
so
that's
yeah,
just Yeah, and it's a nice reminder that none of us are above that. Um,
Absolutely.
so
Yeah, and that's a good place to get out of here. The last thing, I promise I did not mean to match. I don't dress like this. I did not mean to wear the same color clothes as my beard, okay? Just want to point that out because it's
if you,
still bothering me. It was bothering me before we started recording.
I'm gonna tell you,
And I keep seeing myself in this camera and I'm like, God damn it.
it looks like somebody put a filter on you. It looks like you're black somehow mixed black and white and sepia tone at the same time.
Oh my God. All right, we're getting out of here. Hey, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Art of Bombing presents Between Bombs Callbacks. We'll be back next week with a new guest, and then the week after that, we'll be back with a new episode of Callbacks. Make sure you like, subscribe, share the podcast with your friends. Help us get the word out there. Spread the word. Spread the book of the AOB. Get it out there. Spread the
Let
good
them know.
word. Good
Tell
word.
the
Let them know.
neighbors.
Tell the neighbors. Tell your friends. Tell your enemies. Tell anybody. We just want people to know about us. Blow our shit up.
Hey, one cruise ship, and he does start talking like a sailor.
Yeah, right, right, exactly. Yeah, but yeah, do all those things and yeah, all the links down in the show notes. Support our sponsors, you're supporting us. Do the things. And lastly, leave a 5-star rating and a nice review on Apple and Spotify. That really helps us in the algorithms. And even though you don't think it matters, it does matter. It matters to us, and we would really appreciate it. Thank you, and we'll be back. Bye.
That was the weirdest way to end, and I loved it.
This has been a Tape Deck Media production. Thank you for listening.